Welcome back to They Did What? Your source for the internet's craziest, most entertaining stories, where I go over them, analyze them, and most certainly make fun of them. Today I'll be covering part 22 of the longest running story on this channel, and of course by our favorite Redditor, which is titled, While Wife Thought Her Affair Was Going Unnoticed, Husband Was Playing the Long Game Preparing for War. And guys, yes, part 22. We are going to hit that 25 before January 1st, 2026. I know it. But anyhow, as per usual, I'm not going to do a big recap because you guys know what's going on. But I will say when the previous story ended a week ago, that's where he was talking all about that gal he was seeing, Shreya. You know, his post-divorce girlfriend, or not really girlfriend, friends with benefits, having a good time with, getting his confidence back. He likes her, but it's going to end in December when she goes back to India or something like that. But anyhow, turns out his wife saw some pictures some way, somehow, of him with Shreya at a gathering, and is losing her mind over the whole thing. And it revolved around his buddy's wife, and his buddy's wife is kind of, sticking her nose in his business and all that gossiping which girls do. And, he mentioned that he didn't want to talk about him seeing this girl because he didn't want any drama from his ex and all that, which I sort of understand, but he shouldn't be covering his tracks. It's not worth it. Well, anyhow, this update is all about that conversation he had with his buddy's wife, laying out the cards on the table with them, what's going on, to minimize the drama and all that, because it turns out that they didn't know a whole lot was going on. So, picking up where things left off, he says here, so a lot of you have shamed me for making Matt lie to his wife about me and Shreya. I still technically think it's not a lie because I merely asked him not to offer up any information. But I suppose if he answers no to a question about whether or not he knows about this, it might be perceived as a lie. I said elsewhere that when Matt's wife is not breastfeeding or taking care of the infant, she's an actuary for an aerospace company. That is to say, she's very sharp. She's smarter than I am, smarter than Matt, and smarter than any of my friends, and probably smarter than you, no offense. So she's bored taking care of the newborn. She realizes the importance of what she's doing, but she can't wait to get back to work when her maternity leave runs out. She has freely offered this up in the conversations. So yeah, she's bored, so she needs some good gossip and drama, as many of them do. Matt's super hands-on with the new infant, and this gives her even more time to sit down and think. Unfortunately, right now her focus has been on Emily and me. Well, that's all fine and dandy, but it's not her business. Because of that, and because of a lot of comments on my last post about her informing me about Emily's umbrage at me daring to be in a picture with another human with 2 X chromosomes, I figured I need to stop the high school telephone BS before it skids further out of control. Yeah, man, this guy shouldn't have to hide a darn thing. I mean, come on here. So I called up my buddy Matt last Wednesday, and he looped his wife in, and we agreed to meet yesterday evening. I told him I was bringing dinner, and they wanted the seafood Italian pasta from their favorite place. It's local, not a chain, and I ordered an overpriced but delicious pizza with the same place, making sure to pile on the cow and pig meats so they make me take home the leftovers. They are semi-vegetarians. Well, we chatted about their kid because that's been in their lives the past month and a half or so. I got to meet the kid a little bit, and all that thing does is eat, sleep, and make dirty diapers at this point. Matt's wife talked about breastfeeding shaming among the new mother circles in the area, which sounded like next-level mean girl shit to me. I had no idea. She showed me her breast pump, which looked like an air horn. Pregnancy, birth, and newborns is truly a different universe than one I'm familiar with. Yeah, no thanks. I'll stick to bachelor life and having cats, and I'm sure this guy will too. Well, when the subject finally came up about me and Emily, okay, we're getting to the good stuff here, guys. I patiently waded through her spiel about reconciliation. She cited examples from her church, from Christian pop culture, and the book of Hosea in the Bible. You hear that, guys? Reconciliation. Really? There's going to be reconciliation after everything he went through? I think after 22 parts now, you think that ain't going to happen. But this girl's a church girl, religious, and she's friends with Emily. After she was done her spiel, I asked her what she knows about Emily's affair. I told her I wanted to know what she knew in detail. As expected, she didn't know the gory details of the affair. Of course she didn't know all the details, because that would make Emily, her friend, look worse. Women and accountability. This is why a man has to control the narrative, always. Well, my buddy Matt knew about the credit cards, but she didn't, and Matt did not know about the details of the credit card. According to Matt's wife, it was a conventional affair where a rich, successful, charming, established older man gave Emily attention and compliments and treated her like she was an equal in business, even though John was more successful. She developed an attraction to him because of this, but never loved him. See that? She's already setting it up that it's John's complete fault that she cheated. He seduced her. The charming, successful older man giving her attention. What I tell you about attention and validation. She gave into temptation and met him willingly at first, but then she kept it going because he threatened to tell me about the affair. Again, blame it on him. She kept trying to end it, but he kept pulling her in with flattery and threats until I found out about it, and she had already ended it. She never loved him. She only loved me. She made horrible choices and is solely responsible for her actions. It was not my fault. Well, it's nice this chick is saying it's not his fault, but you can see she's really putting the blame on the lover, not so much Emily. Women and accountability. I told her that if that was all true, that is all true to a certain extent. Then I told her about it from my perspective. I told her how I discovered it all. I told her about living with it at the time. Then I whipped out the credit card records and showed her how the card was in Emily's name and the charges for hotels, gifts for me, for dates for with both John and me. I didn't point out about how John was funding her business. I showed her the sex shop purchase and went into detail about how the nightmare of them strolling together, hand in hand, in the aisle of a sex superstore haunted me. I then told her about my physical reaction to the idea of her blowing that a-hole to completion in her mouth and coming home to kiss me with the same mouth not an hour later, and how it caused me to lose my appetite and lose weight to the point where my doctor was concerned, and how he thought of kissing her made me throw up my mouth a little bit. I'm 6 feet tall exactly, and I went from 185 to 160 in over 2 months. Whoa, yeah, that's a drop. She apparently had not opened the attachments in the email I had sent out in the beginning. I showed her the picture of them kissing, the contents of the Valentine's Day messages, and played the recordings of the conversation between Emily and I, where she said I didn't abuse or cheat on her. See, this is all news to the girlfriend here. This is why you must control the narrative, gentlemen. I always say that. Remember it. Then I took a risk and played the recordings of her and John and her and Beverly. Specifically the part about handling me, continuing to lie to me, and about using the credit card for everything. I told her that I had a written confession of the affair in detail from Emily, and when I feel any kind of nostalgia for the past, all I need to do is read it and I'm cured. Remember that episode, guys, when she wrote this whole long thing and told him and all that at the lawyer's office right before the divorce was finalized, and he ran out of there because he was throwing up and sickened by it? All he has to do if he starts having missing her or rose-colored glasses or missing good things about her, just peruse that document. He gets back on track. I told them not to mention the recordings of Emily and John and Bev because the legality of the situation is a gray area and I could get into big trouble if that came to light. Well, I wouldn't have said it to them. One thing I didn't do was accuse Emily of prostitution or being a sugar baby because that could technically be considered slander. At the very least, it could get back to me in court, which I want to avoid. Matt's wife was quiet throughout the whole conversation. Well, it's about time she's quiet for once. I mean, good Lord. I ended up apologizing for lying to her about Shreya. I told her about our relationship and that it helped me feel better from the emasculation that Emily's affair gave me. But there was not a future with us. Not because of who Shreya is, but because where my head is right now, it just wouldn't be fair to Shreya. Shreya is going back to India, for heaven's sake, and for all intents and purposes, what he said, it looks like she's going to be arranged. And frankly, in my opinion, Shreya is letting her wild out right here in America with her tiny-ass outfits when she's at the gym and other things. And in my opinion, she ain't girlfriend material or wife material. She's probably another Emily. But he's having fun with her. She's helping him feel better about himself, gain his confidence. It's a win-win situation. But I still don't think he owes this chick or anybody an apology for keeping things on the down low. It's his business. You know? I told that Emily's betrayal is too deep and thorough for me to forget it, and I would rather take my chances with finding a new relationship, or not, than live in a haunted house for the rest of my life. In other words, reconciliation. There's no reconciliation here. When will these people get through the thick skulls? I personally think, gentlemen, and maybe you think this too, the perception of her friends that this guy telling the story who's freaking cool and funny and awesome is such a nice guy that they just badger him enough and shame him enough, he'll take her back. They'll wear him down. Well, it's not going to happen. I told them both it was important to me that they do not spread this shit around, as it is mortifying to me as it is to Emily. I told them that since they seem to have the most invested in us getting back together, they should at least note part of the truth so they can understand why reconciliation is impossible for me. Right there, making it clear. It seemed like Matt's wife wanted to leave right then and there, but I stopped her and told her that it was important for her to keep being a support for Emily. However, I wish she'd point Emily towards therapy and becoming a better person, and stop talking to her about reconciliation and encouraging her that delusion. Yeah, 100%. She knows about the no contact and the meeting next year, but I told her that if I went to that meeting, it would be for closure and not post-mortem lessons learned on the relationship and nothing else. Well, she left to go to her room, and I had no idea if she was sad or angry, maybe both. Matt gave me a side hug, a bro hug, and said that he had some idea what I've been saying before, but no idea the actual extent of the affair. I told him not to think about it, but just make sure he was the best daddy and husband he could be, or he'd end up like me. He says, parentheses, don't give her any excuse. Just kidding. I'm very much kidding. Well, I got a call from Matt's wife this morning after they got back from church, and she mentioned that she's not going to talk to me anymore about reconciliation, and she apologized. Wow, how about that? I'd be like, hang on, I'm going to record this conversation. Can I get that in writing, please? You're not going to bring up reconciliation anymore? Women can be very sneaky, as many of you are well aware. And I'm sure there's other ways she can bring up reconciliation without actually saying the word reconciliation. So I wouldn't hold my breath on this, you know? But that's nice she said that, and nice that she apologized. I mean, hey, that's a big step. I, of course, told her she didn't know the full story, and she still doesn't. So it's okay, and I also stressed that it was important to me that she still supports Emily, but to support her by telling her to move on and get therapy rather than hope for reconciliation. Thank you. I'm waiting for it, guys. I'm telling you. It is now, what the hell date? Today is November 3rd. The holidays are coming, guys. We got Thanksgiving and Christmas. I am telling you, I'm calling it right here, right today, and you guys, I'm sure, will back me up. There is going to be an episode where it's December, and those sappy Christmas movies are on TV. She's probably watching Love Actually or some damn thing. And next thing you know, after watching Love Actually and Hallmark shows, she's going to show up crying and the holidays, and she's going to show up. And he's going to get his payday because that money's in escrow in case she shows up and bothers him. I'm waiting for it. She confessed to me that she over-exaggerated Emily's reaction to the picture of Shrey and me. Emily was more depressed about it than angry or outraged. It was Matt's wife who was outraged at the time, since she was pushing for the reconciliation plot in her head and not the we're effing done plot. She apologized, and I could tell she was holding back tears. Oh, for goodness sake. She said that she still prayed for reconciliation. He says, what the fuck, do you have ears, woman? Hear that? Didn't she just say she's not going to bring up reconciliation again? And now on the phone, she's like, she'll still pray for reconciliation. That's another way of bringing up reconciliation. So in the same fucking phone call, she broke her word. Sneaky. But she said she wouldn't talk about reconciliation with Emily or encourage it. I stressed for her to actively encourage Emily to get help. Whatever caused her to do this terrible thing, and she agreed. I also asked her to help in shutting down any reconciliation talk in our friend group that I might not know about, and to do that without mentioning what I told about the affair, because it's important to me that Emily not spiral any further than she has. So that is it, and all fixed, right? Smooth sailing from here on out. Oh, brother, there ain't no smooth sailing in this guy's life. This guy deserves smooth sailing, but there's no way, as we're approaching the holidays, there's going to be smooth sailing. I'm telling you now. And I might add, he shared some spicy details here. He had to control the narrative. There ain't no way this ain't going to spread around the friend circle. No way. You want to keep a secret, guys? Keep your mouth shut. Now, obviously, he's controlling the narrative, but he did share some stuff that he technically shouldn't have about some legal stuff. You remember about the recordings and all, which he technically should have been doing? I hope she keeps her mouth shut. Now, his buddy here, Matt, some of you might think, like, why does he just not talk to these people? Or why isn't Matt controlling his wife? Well, his buddy Matt's clearly important to him, so, you know. But anyhow, guys, that is the update here. Now, there are a number of comments, and he responds to a few, and I'll read a few of those before I wrap up the video for today. One guy says here, how on earth do you hear blowing that a-hole to completion in her mouth and coming home to kiss me in the same mouth not an hour later and still pray for reconciliation? Erg. The dark side of me hope Matt cheats on her so she gets it. I don't really hope that, but you know what I mean. I couldn't be friends with these people. And our guy here says, I'm not really friends with Matt's wife. I'm closer to Jim's wife. Matt's been a great support to me during this, and I'll be goddamned if I'm going to let Emily's actions fuck up another relationship that's important to me. Besides, he's willing to play a buffing and healing cleric in D&D. You know how hard that is to find. So, I told you guys are like, why are you even hanging out with these people? Well, his buddy's important to him. Thus far, it's certainly worth it. But, gotta nip that in the bud with the wife. Another guy says here, cheaters like Emily really bull rush reconciliation when they're still in the rawness of the affair and the damage. They've shown who they are, and it's nothing but a raw reel in wheelbarrows full of empty promises and pain. They're too busy focused on what they lost instead of why they lost. They truly got nothing to offer. If they let it go and accept that everything is gone to dust, if they truly walk away and work on themselves, to understand that they are horrible human beings, and then to understand why they are horrible human beings. And work on, and not only to never be a horrible human being again, but learn what good, respectable social behavior is, and to apply it to their life forever. Then and only then will they have the snowball's chance in hell while taking the longest shot ever of really getting their former partners back. Because if they spend the long road and time becoming better human beings and partners, people might see their new worth again instead of being selfish betrayers they currently are. Well, once a cheater, always a cheater. And our guy responds, he says here, Emily's been speedrunning reconciliation from the beginning. Certainly, in a few interactions we've had, she seemingly assumed I'd reconcile. I don't know if it's an extreme selfishness or pathological wishful thinking. I'm hoping it's the latter, and I'm profoundly disappointed that it's the former. Well, my perception, the way I get this is they probably just, Emily and her friends think this guy's a pushover, and he'll cave. And as they usually do with guys they perceive as nice guys. But this guy is a good guy, and what's cool is he hasn't changed who he is. But he's not backing down. There ain't no reconciliation. And the last thing, I'm not going to read the comment, but I'll read his, as the guy was asking about how is everything else going in your life? Any plans, any goals? And our guy wraps it up by saying, I'm planning on using the $7,500 to pay for a vacation. I'm fluctuating between Europe or Southeast Asia. What I'm doing for myself is I got a kitten. I was going to get a puppy, but that fell through, and I decided not to pursue it. Awesome. Good for him for adopting a pet. And as a cat person, and I'm biased, good for you for getting a cat. I'm hitting the gym still, but Shreya's cooking is drawing me into dad bod territory. I don't know how the hell she can have a flat belly and eat like that. Because she's younger than you, dude. I'm going to have to shadow her around the gym and adopt her workout routine. I already mentioned it, but Shreya has been good for me. I think she's helped me overcome the emasculation I felt over all this. Yeah, she has. She came into your life for a reason, if you believe that kind of stuff, and then she'll leave at the right time and go back to India, and sadly some sucker's going to marry her. But she's been good for you, getting your confidence back. Hey, and you got to trim that dad bod, dude. And finally he says, I saw my dad and his girlfriend on Labor Day. We had a cookout at my home, actually my dad's house, and met their sons. They're roughly the same age as I am. I'm headed to Florida for Thanksgiving. And there you go, guys. That is a wrap-up. I know normally we get updates once a month from this guy, but this was a quick one a week later from last time. I know I got a core following here that love this guy's story, love how he tells it, so I'm going to keep doing this until he stops. I mean, at this point, I thought it was going to be done by episode 25, and that's it. This could be going on for 5 years the way we're going. And at this point, I'll keep doing it. So, guys, there you go. But again, it's the beginning of November. We still got 2 months to the end of the year. I'm waiting for episode to get to 25. You know, good solid number. But I'm telling you, and I'm sure you're thinking it too, as we get closer to the holidays, and Love Actually, and fucking Scrooged, and any other Christmas movie, whatever comes on TV, she's going to be watching them and get sad and not want to be alone, and she's going to reach out. I'm telling you now it's going to happen. I'm sure you're all thinking the same thing, and I know our guy here has a sense of humor, and he'll report back. So, although I don't want any drama in his life, it seems to be that, well, you know, what happens, happens. So, there you go. All right, guys, that's it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. Be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. I'll catch you next time.